Welcome, everybody. I'm Gina Roberge, acupuncturist and Chinese herbalist in Baltimore. And
And
this is
I'm
Britt.
I'm Dr. Brittany Freed. I'm also outside of the Baltimore area, and also an acupuncturist.
So we have today this Laying the Foundation course, SMART Goals and Business Development Plans that we're going to be sharing with you. We got into this because we were really excited to grow our businesses together. We were in school together, and we were really excited to grow our businesses and to learn how to be as efficient and successful as we could be. And we supported each other through
Mhm.
that process. And so we just got really into helping other people do that. So this is why we're here, and we're really excited to share this course with you.
Awesome. And so this next page here is just the disclaimer for SOMA. You can read through that at your leisure. It's just their association disclaimer. And so then in this webinar, Gina's going to give you kind of an overview of what we're going to do.
So this is where you're going to learn about what SMART goals are, how to implement them. A lot of people have used SMART goals and a lot of people haven't, but we found that it's been a really useful tool for us. So we really wanted to share them with you, and then help you to learn how to brainstorm for your specific business. And we're also going to go through a business development plan and how to formulate that to increase your business's success. Just a reminder to use the chat if you have any questions that come up. And then we'll leave some time at the end for questions at the end. And we're also going to share some templates with you. If you're interested, send us your email address in the chat box and we can send that to you as well.
All right. So first up is SMART goals. What are they and why should we create these SMART goals? So when you're looking at a SMART goal, you can go ahead and see, can you flip that one for me? Thank you. Here's a little breakdown about that. So what the acronym stands for. So SMART is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So in order to create a SMART goal, you're going to want to break it down into these individual sections. And like Gina was saying, if you drop your email address in there, we will send you some pretty cool templates for how to do this, ones that you can reuse every time you want to create new SMART goals. So to make this make a little bit more sense, we're going to use an example. And the example that we're going to use is the goal of 200 patients in 1 month. So Gina will start out here and explain to you how you do the first step of that.
So the first is S, which is specific. You want to make sure it's not a general wide blanket kind of goal, and it applies to a very specific situation or circumstance. So the example that we gave, like she said, it was 200 treatments a month, consistently moving forward. So that'd be like every month for the next 12 months. And a lot of us have heard about manifesting, or it's being talked about a lot. This is kind of where you use that, because the more specific your goal is, the easier it is to kind of manifest that. I know that when I'm thinking about it, we've talked about like goals for our individual businesses. When I'm thinking about that goal on a regular basis and I'm very specific about it, the chances of me achieving that is so much higher. So the more specific, the better.
All right. And then we get into measurable. So how do we actually measure this goal that you were setting? And so you want to make sure that, is this a measurable goal or not? So yes, 200 patients per month is a measurable goal. So you're going to create specific metrics to track that progress. For example, if we're using my business, I work 3 days a week. So how many patients do I need to see per week in order to make that goal of 200 per month? So that would be 50 patients per week. Break that down by day. I would need to see 16 patients per treatment day. Obviously, those numbers will be different if you're working 2, 3, 4, 5 days a week. It really depends on your specific business, but you can set those goals and make sure that they are measurable.
Yeah, and it's fun to kind of like look forward at your schedule and say, okay, I need this many more
Yeah,
patients.
we have
to
this
hit that.
conversation on a weekly basis of like, okay, what do you have this week? What do you need to be having to meet your goals?
Right. So the next is A, attainable. This is making sure that the goal that you set is attainable. And it's really important that it's realistic, because when we are thinking about, um, like if we're setting too high of a goal and we can never kind of meet it, our energy kind of collapses, and it's really, it's just a bummer. And then we just kind of lose traction, and it's not motivating after that. So the example is, yeah, I'm already seeing 45 patients a week. Is it realistic? If it's no, then just dial it back so it can be a little bit more achievable.
So that's exactly what she's saying is, it doesn't mean you have to abandon the goal altogether. You just amend the goal to fit what is achievable and attainable in this moment. And then we set a new goal to create the next step in that process, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And that fine line between realistic but ambitious.
Pause for just a second and see what we have in that chat box. Make sure it's not somebody that needs something. Oh, awesome.
All right.
All right.
Next is our relevant.
Okay. Get down there for a second. All right. So we just need to make sure that the goals that you are setting are relevant to your practice and your life. So the SMART goals we're teaching you today are specifically about your practice, but you can definitely break out and use SMART goals for your personal life and any goals you have there. So you just need to make sure whatever goal you're setting is relevant to whatever setting it is in. If it's a business goal, is this relevant to the to what aligns with your business? So we like to break it down into sections. Does it align with your values, your dreams, and your ambitions? So for this specific goal, it aligns with the values because it aligns with my values to be able to aid as many people as possible by seeing 200 people a month, or 200 treatments a month. Doesn't have to be 200 individual patients. I'm aligning with being able to help as many people as I possibly can within that month. And then as far as my dreams go, yes, it aligns with my dreams because my dream is to have a full schedule and a busy acupuncture practice. And then my ambitions are to increase my income to support my family and meet my financial goals of my business. And by increasing my patient load, I'm aligning with that goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't meet all those requirements, so we can kind of pivot and make sure that our goals kind of fit that. And I've had to do that before.
Yeah. And I find that if I'm having to work too hard to have it align with those things, because sometimes it takes a little work to figure out, like, how does this align with my values, my dreams, my ambitions? But if I have to work too hard, then it's probably a sign that the goal is not specific enough or relevant to my business, because it might be a goal that is then overlapping with my personal life, in which case I then need to separate them out into two separate goals to be as
Right.
clear as possible.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So the next is T, time-based. So again, this is using an ambitious yet and realistic time frame for the goal to be achieved. This is getting, again, really specific on when you want to achieve that goal. So the example was 200 a month, that's 50 a week. Or for the first month, you want to have a smaller goal to kind of like get yourself there so it's achievable. 48 patients a week, 120 a month. And then the second month is moving forward with the 50 and then 200 a month. So just getting really specific really helps me because I like a deadline. Like it makes me motivated. I like to know, like, how long do I have this? Because I'm gonna be a lot more focused on that goal when there's a deadline.
So, and I find for me that if I set the end goal of, like, I want to achieve this in however many months, then I work backwards to break it down what I need to get per month.
Yeah.
And so, if I break it down and I go that first month, getting 48 patients isn't achievable because I'm only seeing 30 now, then it also is another indicator that this is not a achievable goal or an attainable goal. And we need to go back and change the original goal to what is attainable now, and then work our way up to this.
Right.
So in this example, being able to hit 48 patients per week for my practice, if we were using that as an example, would make perfect sense if I'm already seeing 45 a week. That's only 3 more treatments a week, which is definitely an attainable goal. And then to jump from 48 to 50 is also super attainable and makes this time schedule work.
Yeah. So let's go through the example that we used again.
Just put it all together. All right, so the example was 200 acupuncture treatments in a month is the goal that we want to get to. So specifically, yes, this is, a specific goal of administer 200 acupuncture treatments per month, consistently moving forward. This isn't a goal we want to hit once and never achieve again. So we want to make sure that when we're setting the goal, it's something that can be attained consistently moving forward. measurable. So create specific metrics to track this progress. 50 patients per week or 16 patients per day if you're working 3 days a week. Those numbers changed based off of the amount of days you see patients in a week. Is it attainable? Yes, because in this example, we're already seeing 45 patients per week. So it is a realistic goal. If you find that the answer is no there, then you adjust the goal to be achievable or attainable. And then relevant. Yes, the values, I'm going to look at my other screen here because I can't read it up there. The values align with the values to be able to aid as many people as possible. The dream aligns with my dream to have a full schedule and a busy acupuncture practice. Ambitions aligns with my ambitions to increase income to support family and financial goals. And then time bound, we set this as a goal that we would like to achieve within 2 months, because the first month we would only have to jump up to 48 patients per week to get to a number of 192 patients per month. And then the second month, we'd be able to achieve that 50 patients per month to be a goal of 50 patients per week to be a goal of 200 patients per month. So by incorporating these SMART goals, you're going to increase your likelihood of being successful at achieving your goal, as opposed to just putting out this like blanket goal and having no steps to get there. By setting SMART goal steps, you're going to be much more likely of achieving the goal of increasing to 200 acupuncture treatments per month. This plan provides a clear roadmap for success while ensuring that your objectives are specific, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. And the important thing here that this is where a lot of people fall off, is you need to regularly review your progress and adjust your strategies to stay on track. That's where, like, Gina and I, when we set a SMART goal for our individual practices, we check in with each other like, hey, how you doing on that goal? Like,
Yeah.
where are you at in the process? You know, like Gina had a goal of how many patients she wants to see in, a month. And so she'll check in with me at the beginning of the week and be like, here's where I'm at. Let's brainstorm. How do I get to that part of my goal? Because I'm not quite where I want to be. Or, hey, look, I've already achieved that number for this week.
And then we can celebrate each
Yes,
other.
exactly.
Yeah.
Awful well knowing that we'll have at least one no call, no show in the week. And, so the goal is to have a few more on the
Right.
schedule than what you're going to actually end up with.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I think like grabbing another practitioner to kind of partner with, because having someone that is not only holding you accountable just by like caring about your practice too, but also celebrating the wins, it's a lot more fun to like message her and be like, I hit my goal, and she can, celebration emojis all over the place.
It's a really good point, because, we are in an industry where a lot of us work as solo practitioners. You might be in a wellness center with other people, but a lot of us are running our own practices.
Yeah.
So it's really good to find some colleagues that you can have on your side, on your team, to make sure that they're celebrating with you and you're bouncing ideas off of people and things like
Yeah.
that. So, find those people in your life. We are happy to be those people for you if you ever need a consult and things like that, to feel like you've got people that are in your corner pushing you in the correct direction. That's the reason we started this business.
Yeah, even if you want to just email us your goals, and then we can track you and celebrate you as well. We would love to do that. All right, so now's the time to take a second, take a deep breath. That was a lot of information we just threw at you. If you have any SMART goals that you want to just jot down, you can do that right now. Again, if you have any questions, throw those in the chat box or email us. It's buildandthrivebusiness@gmail.com. Make sure I got that right.
It'll be on the last slide in case we got it wrong.
You can send us any questions. We would be happy to answer those. If you just want clarification on anything.
And reminder, just drop your email addresses in that chat box if you want us to send you the templates, so that once you jot down those SMART goals ideas, you can put them into the correct spots to make sure you covered everything.
That's a fun little freebie that we are very excited to send to you guys. I like just having like a stack of them.
I do. I have a stack of them in my office. So when I set a new goal, and I actually have the ones I set SMART goals at the beginning of the year, both business and personal, and the business ones are posted on my personal office wall, like inside where I do my admin stuff, so that I can be seeing them and making sure that I'm keeping myself
that's a good point.
Accountable.
Keep it in your face.
Yes.
So it's out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly.
All right.
Moving on to the next part.
So the second part of this is a business development plan. We're going to explain what it is, and why you should create one, because a lot of us don't have it.
And I am guilty of this. I did not have one in the beginning,
Same.
and I did not have one for the first like 5 years of my practice.
Same.
And things grew astronomically once I actually got around to doing this
Isn't
step you
that
should do in the
wild?
beginning, guys.
Isn't that wild? Yeah, so a lot of us don't have it. That's okay. We can start from now. It's never too late to create a business plan, but we highly recommend having them. It's basically a written document, provides description and overview of your company's future. Again, everyone should have one because it's just going to make your success rate that much more. Anytime we plan and visualize for the future, we are more successful and focused. And it's going to explain your business strategy, your key goals, and how to get where you want to go in the future, basically.
And so with a business development plan, like we said, we have a template for you. And you're welcome to ask us for that template. It's a great, fairly simple one. And not every business development plan looks exactly the same. Like we've broken ours down into sections because we think that makes it easiest, but there are ones out there that are written differently. So if you have a plan and you're kind of doing this as a refresher right now, don't be freaked out if ours looks different than yours. And, it
Right.
might make some sense to use one that's different than what you had to make sure that you kind of are filling in all those cracks.
Yeah, take what works for you and leave the rest.
Mhm.
And another point is that we've discovered that your business plan changes constantly or as often as you want it to. Some people like to look at it every month. Some people like end of year or beginning of year.
Mhm.
And as your goals are being met or your needs are changing or, your values change,
Mhm.
whatever it is, it's totally appropriate and necessary actually to go through those and change it up. So
And
it's not a
like,
stagnant thing.
exactly. And like if your business structure changes. So like, for example, I went from being a sole practitioner. Gina and I actually shared a
Right.
treatment space when we first got out of
Back in the
school,
day.
way back in the day. And we shared a space then. So I was a sole practitioner with one treatment room. And my business plan, had I had one at that point, would have looked very different than what it is now because 6 years ago, I opened a wellness center, and that involves having tenants and other practitioners, and 3 treatment rooms and adjunct modalities and things like that. So my business
Yeah.
plan now looks very different than it would have looked then. So it's really important to look back and, for me, had I had one back then, I would have had to completely scrap it and start new, which is fine. But sometimes you can amend what you have, and it's also okay to start over.
Yep. Yep. So make those changes.
All right. So, moving into this, a basic business plan is made up of 7 sections, the way that we have designed ours, that give an overview of your current business. So it's the intended future for your business, how you will make your business more profitable and gain you more resources or increase your assets, what plans for growth in your target market, and where do you see your business in, for example, 1, 3, or 5 years. That's where the SMART goals come in. You can use different numbers for that if you want, but we find that those are pretty good goals for setting sort of short-term, medium goals and long-term goals for your business. And definitely be checking back in on that business plan in those 1, 3, and 5 years if you don't do it more often than that. I tend to like to check in on mine about every 6 months.
She's better at it than me.
It's only because it's on the calendar. But and it doesn't necessarily mean I change anything in those 6 months, but it kind of rejuvenates me to have more energy
Right.
and go like, oh, okay, like I'd kind of forgotten a little about this goal because I got distracted by something else.
Yeah.
Or I've hit this goal, so then I can do this next step, in which case I do need to amend it in that time.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I always amend it every 6 months, but it's a good way to sort of look at it. And mine is actually posted on my wall with those SMART goals that I set at the beginning of the year. So they're
Yeah.
kind of in one little place for me.
Yeah, that's a good point. I always thought of like a business plan as like a chore or something that I had to do, but what I'm finding is it actually just jazzes me up and gets me really excited about the future. So see this as like a tool, a resource that will keep you motivated and make it more fun,
I think that people think of business plans as this like, oh, stupid document I got to write because like I need to
burden.
get like funding from a bank or something else.
Right.
And yes, it's definitely necessary if you're in that scenario where you want to look for investors and things like that for your practice. But if you don't need that outside income from an investor or a loan from the bank or something like that, it really can just be a tool to help you feel motivated to grow.
Right. Yeah.
All
So the
right.
first section is the executive summary. This is going to be the first page. This is where you're going to have your mission statement, vision statement, and then a brief description.
The little
This is the freebie that
we're going to be
talking
getting in.
about.
Yeah.
has spaces for you to fill out all your stuff. And I'd like to point out the difference between a mission statement and vision statement, because a lot of people get that mixed up.
Including me.
I mean, all of us, yeah. So the mission statement is more about defining the business. What are your objectives? And then how are they going to be achieved? And then the vision is like, what's the future? Where do you aspire to go? Like, this is where you set your dreams, like this is when I thought about opening a practice, this is what it looks like. So it's more about the vision for the future. And then also on this is going to be your financial growth plans. Like what are the a part of that vision almost? Like it's like, where do you want to see moving forward financially?
It's like the umbrella goal of those financial plans, because you'll get into the nitty gritty in another section.
Yeah.
And then the pro tip for this section is do this section last.
Yeah.
Because it can feel a little overwhelming. So we actually say like, go in and get the nitty gritty, and then you can put the big umbrella stuff on the front. And Gina will actually go over mission and vision statements for her business at the end of this to make that part make sense.
Yeah, because as you gain more information throughout the business plan, it's going to make more sense, or you're going to have a little bit more clarity on what the mission and vision statements are.
Like you can for sure jot down something in the beginning if it makes you feel better to go step by step, which some people it does. But also you could put this as step 7 and kind of rearrange if it makes more sense.
Go through and edit. So the next is.
All right. So then section 2 is pretty simple. It's describe your business. So what's the registered name of your business? What's the address? Name those key people in your business. So for example, in my practice, I have me, and then I have an office administrator and a social media manager. So listing those people out, what their credentials are, if they have credentials behind them, what their responsibilities are within your practice, and then defining the structure of your business and the ownership percentages if it's not just you. So, how are you structured? Like I'm an S Corp, for example, and I own, 100% of my business, or 75% or 50% or whatever that is.
Right.
And then describe the history of your business. So when you were founded, any changes that have occurred. So for example, my practice was founded in 2011, 2012, 12.
Yeah.
2012.
Because we forget. So it's nice to have
It's good to have it right there. 2012, I started out as a solo practitioner in a single treatment space. Now this is where I'm at. These are the addresses I've changed from. That kind of stuff can all be put into here.
Yeah. It's nice to just have it somewhere. So the next is your business goals. And like we said before, this is your short-term goals and your long-term goals, because having just long-term goals is going to feel overwhelming. If you have short-term goals to get to those long-term goals, it's much more achievable, attainable, and it's better for my brain anyway. You can set as many goals as you want. You can have like a whole page of goals. Some people need like 2 to 5 just so it's not overwhelming. And again, this is going to be revised all the time as your goals change, your needs change, your values change, all of it. Go in and change those. And again, this is where we use the SMART goals. So that all of the SMART goals that we talked about, this is where you're going to use them.
And I think that an important part here is, like we've said about the rest of this business plan, it is customizable to what works for you. So some people, it's like, I need to create this overarching big goal so that I can break it down into small goals. Or some people, it's the opposite. I need to make these small goals so I can figure out what that big goal is. Some people I've actually seen where they do an entire page on this, where it's like, let me write down all these potential goals I have, and then not write SMART goals for all of them right now, but pick 2 or 3 of them and write SMART goals. But just so that, you can almost do it like a brain dump of like, here's all these crazy off the wall goals I have for my business at some point. Now let me pick which of those 2 to 5 of them are going to be my focus in this moment, because I feel like in general, holistic practitioners tend to be creative people. We like to think outside the box a little bit, and this is a little bit intimidating for some of those types of people, because we're asking you to do something really concrete here. Does not mean that your creativity can't shine too. Like you can make that whole list. You can kind of use your imagination to what you want your practice to be, and then break it down to the concrete stuff. And that's where we balance each other well, because I tend to be like, okay, Gina, we got to be on the schedule here. We've got to do this, this, and this, and it's got to be concrete. She's like, dude, think outside the box a little bit too, dream a little bit here. And you need the people like that to bounce ideas off of. So find your people.
Find a yin to your yang, basically. And it's nice. It's so nice to just have all your goals in one place, because that's something I never did. And I never allowed myself to dream Because I just didn't have it in one place. There's something about that container that really helps me to,
Yes.
thrive.
All right. So the next section, section 4, this is where you're going to be laying out your products, your services offered. And this is, like I said, forever changing based off of as your practice changes. So you're going to
Mhm.
list all your products and retail you offer, if you offer any. Like for example, in my practice, we offer like just kind of we offer supplements, we offer herbs, but then I offer just like kind of fun stuff like candles and room sprays,
Mhm.
and we offer a skincare line, like things like that that you're going to offer. So put those in here. Then
Mhm.
you're going to list any services and packages offered. Obviously, if you're on this webinar, you're an acupuncturist, so you're going to list your acupuncture offerings, but then we check with your state because every state's different as far as packages and plans go. But if you offer any packages or plans, you're going to include them here. We offer microneedling and infrared
Right.
sauna and supplement consults and all those types of
Yeah.
things in our practice too. So I'm going to list those in those sections. And you want to be detailed. You want to be sure that it's a very clear overview of what you offer in this moment. Just like your
Mhm.
SMART goals, this section may change because some of your SMART goals might be about offering new products and services.
Mhm.
So as you achieve those SMART goals, come back and change this section as well.
Right. And I like to have a little description of each product and service just so I have it in one place.
It's a great place to put that. And
Yeah.
that way, like when you decide you need to update brochures or your website or whatever,
Right.
you have that in one concrete place, because part of a business plan is about keeping you organized.
Right.
And because if you see my office, it's not the most organized at times because I have a lot of stuff.
Surprising.
Yeah. Well, because when I do get creative, I forget to be organized, and and it
Yeah.
kind of explodes everywhere. So this is a good document to kind of keep things organized in.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
The next is market research. So this is going to be really important if you have, like she was saying before, lenders or investors. They're going to want all that information of all of the market research in your area.
Because they want to decide if you're a good investment.
Right. Right.
But this is also really important, even if you don't need that, because it's important for you to have that information.
Exactly.
And I always laugh every time I know that I'm getting shopped by another provider. When they call the office to find out like pricing on something or that type of stuff, it always makes me laugh because I'm like, good job, you're doing your
Way
market
to do your
research.
market research. So yeah, it's important to know who your competition is in that field. Sometimes usually it's gonna be local for acupuncturists, obviously, because most of us have a brick and mortar. But if you just offer online services, it doesn't necessarily need to be local. But finding something that's comparable, and figuring out like what do they do well, what are their kind of deficiencies? Because if they're doing well, you want to mimic. Like, is their social media really good and they're bringing in a lot of people from that, or
Mhm.
if their website's kind of lacking, you're like, okay, well, I know what not to do,
And this can also be a good place to figure out what your target audience is, because you can look around and see like, okay, there
Right.
are 5 different acupuncturists in my area doing fertility, and that's not my specialty, so I'm not going to go that direction.
Right.
That's not going to be what I market. Versus, I do orthopedic acupuncture and there's nobody here that does that, so I'm going to, direct my practice more in that direction.
Mhm.
And like Gina was saying, you want to see what your competition is within your field. And like she said, for a lot of acupuncturists, that's local, but also if you offer telehealth services and
Right.
or you offer retail online on your website, like you're going to want to look at your competitors in that field as well.
Right.
All right. Section 6, we're getting there, guys.
We're getting there.
All right, so in this section, you are going to outline your marketing and sales plan. So if you struggle with this at all, we do have an entire course on marketing, and from a holistic standpoint and being authentic in it, because that is such an important part, is making sure that your marketing is genuine. Because, you've seen ads and things like that on TV that you're like, no, because it's clear they're just reading from a script and this isn't how they really feel about things.
Yeah. People are really wanting authenticity in
Mhm.
this new day and age.
And so it's important to figure out your marketing plan. There's lots of different types of marketing. There's social media marketing, there's in-person connection, there's loyalty programs, there's marketing to other healthcare providers and other
Mhm.
business and things like that. And the important step here is you don't have to do all of those.
Right.
You need to figure out which ones make sense to you and your practice
And your personality. Mhm.
and stick with those and outline those here and how you're going to do those, and leave the rest. Because like, for example, I am not a huge fan of marketing to other healthcare professionals. It's not something that feels authentic to me. It feels like I'm trying to sell them on Chinese medicine.
Mhm.
I would prefer to do that by treating clients that I know they have, and those clients going back to them and being like, hey, this really worked for me. Like, it's kind of a backdoor way of doing that without having to like, okay, let me bring lunch to your office and sell you on what acupuncture is and what my practice is.
Yeah.
But for some providers that really works. Like, there was a chiropractor in my area that literally the day I opened, he came over and reached out to me. And that's been a great partnership, but it worked for him to reach out to me.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't have worked the other way.
Yeah. I've reached out to a couple of fertility specialists just because I know that acupuncture works so well, and I want to make sure that they have those resources.
Mhm.
So
But
yeah.
in my town, because I'm in a small town, I do a lot of in-person connections.
Yeah.
And that's in formal settings and informal settings. So, that might be attending farmers markets or like town sponsored functions and things like that. But it also might be like I'm at the playground with my kids and I overhear somebody talking, and they might mention acupuncture or mention like, I'm really frustrated with this, that, and like me jumping in and making that in-person connection of, hey, this is my practice. This is how this type of medicine could help if you're interested.
Yeah. And we have a whole course on marketing on our website, buildandthrive.com, because that's going to be we're going to go way more into depth about all of these things. So if you're interested in it and want to learn more, reach out to us and we'll send that out to you. And we can get as deep as you want to go in that.
All right. So section 7, which is technically our final section, but we're going to go back to section 1 after this too. This is where the part that I don't love very much. You have to perform a business financial analysis. And this section might be minimal if you're a new business. Like, there might not be a whole lot in there. But if you're an existing business, you're going to include a profit and loss statement, a balance sheet, and a cash flow statement. And this is where I tell everybody to don't try to be a specialist in everything. Like, if finances are
Right.
not your thing, find a good accountant.
Yeah.
I did, and that was a great thing for me, because that part doesn't always make a huge amount of sense to some people. So I found a good accountant who could get me the foundation of those things. And in that way, I was able to then kind of run with it from there. But these are all things that if you, like, for example, use QuickBooks, you can easily
Yeah.
find the reports there to be able to create for your existing practice.
Yeah. I use QuickBooks, and it's so easy just to kind of like generate those sections and just pull it up and just record all of them each month.
But if this is something that feels intimidating to you, I would recommend finding a good accountant to at least like get you set up on QuickBooks and give you a run through of like, this is what you should be doing every week or every month, to be able to put yourself in a position where you feel like you are actually having some accuracy in these things.
Yeah. It's better than just not doing it.
Yeah.
Which is what
Yeah.
I've done before.
We've all done the avoidance bit.
Okay, so this is where we're going to circle back to the first section, and this is my mission and vision statement. So the mission for my business, Radiant Wellness in Baltimore, we're a wellness center in Baltimore County. It provides acupuncture, Chinese herbal medicine, other healing modalities to restore balance and radiance to the body, mind, and spirit through the integration of therapeutic techniques. And a lot of times that's like the first paragraph on your website, and that's something you just like plug right in. So it's defining the business, it's setting my objectives and how these objectives are going to be achieved.
Mhm.
So then the vision, which is my favorite part, is Radiant Wellness. Our vision is to be a trusted leader in promoting holistic health and wellness through Chinese medicine. We aim to be recognized for our effective client-centered approach, fostering a community where individuals thrive in optimal well-being. Our commitment is to continually evolve, innovate, and contribute to the broader landscape of natural healthcare. So that's just more fun for me because I get to like really show my personality, show my business's personality, and really have get like psyched about where I want to go in the business. And so that can also be on your website, you can plug that in, and that also can change.
And I find that one of the good places to put a vision statement on your website is in like the About Me section.
Yeah.
If you're going to describe who you are as a practitioner, because if you're a solo provider, your vision statement is basically who you are.
Right.
So a little pro tip here is if you are feeling really, really lost in these things, go on ChatGPT. Is it'll at least give you
Use
like a
AI.
good foundation. It will be very fluffy,
Mhm.
which is why I don't love ChatGPT for a lot of things, but it will give you something where you can go, okay, I like this word, this word, this word. So I'm going to change this to make sense for who I am.
Right, but it'll at least give you a first draft that you
Yes.
can defluff, as Britt likes to say.
Yes, exactly. And we do a lot of defluffing. So guys, that's what we have to offer for you today. That was just a quick little overview about what SMART goals are, how to set them, and then, you know, how to take those SMART goals and put them into a business plan as one little section of that business plan, and the importance of having a business plan and setting SMART goals to let your practice grow.
Yep, and like we said before, allow us to be a support to you. If you have questions, again, reach out. If you want to send us your goals and we can be your cheerleaders, we would love that. And if you want additional support, here all everything that we offer on our website, some courses that are PDA approved. So most of them, three of them are.
Well, and the fourth one is this, the mini course you just took.
Right.
And then we also, if you're just kind of feeling overwhelmed and you need to farm out some of your stuff, we have some digital download packages where like it's all done for you. All you have to do is customize it
Fill
to
it in.
your
Yeah.
practice, stick your logo on it, and you are good to go. And if none of that feels exactly right to you, we do offer consulting services. So you're always welcome to do a 15-minute complimentary consult with us. Give us a shout and be like, is this something you can help us with? And if it is, we are happy to set up some consulting sessions with you.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for